Hello and welcome back to the Making Fire podcast. This is a podcast where two longtime besties talk about their favorite TV show, Survivor. Today we're going to be talking about the first episode of Survivor. But first, Maddie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. We have family in town. I'm in a new setup. All very exciting. Yeah, that's kind of all that's going on in my life. Riley, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm no longer sick, which is super slay fun. And I did an at-home haircut. I don't know if you could tell. But my roommate helped me cut my hair. So I'm feeling really good, feeling fresh. I'm going home this weekend. It's gonna be super, super exciting. Um, yeah. Do we just want to jump in? Talk about some
Yes.
Survivor? Yes.
Yes, please.
Um, well, uh, this is the first episode, the premiere episode. I love a good premiere. I guess jumping in, how are you feeling some changes like the new hour and a half episodes? I feel usually I'm pretty sure in the premieres in the new era they try to fit like two eliminations in one episode, right?
Yeah,
That seems right. But we
maybe.
got one. I think so. Um,
I do
three
feel
episodes.
like, at least last season, though, like with Bruce going out so early on, maybe they felt
Yeah.
maybe they felt like they needed
Maybe
more.
I feel like there has been a weird amount of medevacs in the first episode in the last couple seasons. Because I remember Marianne's season, Jackson got medevaced and then Zach got voted out that episode. So maybe that's the coincidence. But alas, um, are you excited for 90-minute episodes?
Obviously, I love
Obviously.
more content. I will take whatever they give.
I eat it up. I'm a little iPad baby when it comes to Survivor. I'll just CBS. I'm a little iPad baby for you. Um, Cool. Okay, so we open up the first episode, um, and Katora has the first opening confessional. That was my winner pick for those who missed our draft. But we got some iconic first confessionals. I feel like I think the big one is Emily's. I'd rather go home first than if I'm not gonna win.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
As someone who did rank Emily last in the draft, I want to say I do stand by that choice. I do not love that comment. That actually really upset me because I don't think the point of the game is like, if I don't win, I don't want to be here. It's to play the game.
Mm,
And that really upset me. And I feel like she's just going into it with this attitude that I don't like and I don't vibe with. And I just I would not want to be around her. I'm sorry, I'll say it. I could not I had a hard time watching. I can't imagine living.
I just don't think you guys get her like I get her. I just, I'm like, sometimes some negativity is needed a little bit.
Yes,
Um,
I do like the drama that she's bringing. I don't know if she's intentionally like trying to cause drama or what. She's definitely the villain that I was asking for.
yeah,
But just like personally I cannot stand her. She's not like a
I,
funny haha villain. It's like a oh my god, why would you say that?
no, because the way I was just like, why is she just kind of real? Because what did she say when they were talking about the pyramids? And she was like, I'm gonna be honest, I've never thought about the pyramids before we started talking about it right now. I'm like, no, because you're so right. Why the heck are we talking about the pyramids right now?
Okay, she did have a point with that one, but like just laugh it off. I would love if they have conspiracy theories about the pyramids being batteries. I want to hear the other conspiracy theories these people are thinking about.
I don't think
I
I've
would
ever
pick their
heard.
brains. I've never heard that before.
I don't think I've ever heard that
No.
ever. So that was strange. But
I
I
want to
just
hear
feel
more.
like you want to hear more
Yeah.
about the
I
batteries
want conspiracy theory hour with
with
Sabaya, Caleb, and with
the
the
Lulu
Lulu
tribe,
losers.
the Lulu losers. Okay. So I just want to say that I wrote the Lulu losers in my notes
I did too. Oh,
before it was even said. Um, So anyway, I just want to say, if 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 Brandon's allowed to be in his feelings, his emotional, really fun feelings, then why can't Emily be in her feelings of her negativity?
She can. I'm not here to. I'm not here to shut it down. I'm just saying I would not want to be
I'm just saying,
around
like,
her.
you're being kind of negative about Emily's negativity, and like that's really messing up the vibe.
Okay. Okay, I'll take that.
Um, what else? Okay, so that yeah, okay, so I think it was so silly. I'm sure we'll talk a lot about Brandon this episode, but I think it's so silly. Brandon is obviously, I think, from what we've seen so far, the most emotional player that we've sort of seen so far, and uh, on this season, and they put him and Emily on the same tribe is
Intentional.
crazy. Intentionally, I'm sure of it. Um, I just Emily, somebody being so anti, like I can't take criers, and Brandon literally crying, like he is the first person that Jeff talks to, and he's sobbing on the boat is crazy. I'm like, you cannot be crying already. I'm sorry, like I'm sure I would be if I was in his shoes, I'd be just as emotional, but get a grip.
To Emily's credit as well, Hannah said at Tribe, well, spoiler, jumping ahead here, she mentioned that she was crying just about every 30 minutes for those first couple of days. I do think that is like Emily's worst nightmare is having
Mm.
Brandon be emotional, Hannah crying all the time, and like feeling excluded from the others on the tribe, which we will get back to that because I hate the position she's put herself in, but anyways, that would definitely be testing her in the beginning.
That whole tribe it's crazy.
I want to say it's
It
messed up that my number 1 and 2 draft picks are on that tribe.
it's you okay, good. There I we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there down the line. Well, Bruce is back. Brucey boy. Um he is making it very clear that he doesn't have any advantage against anybody in this game. And who other than Emily has something to say to that is crazy. Okay, like I get where they're both coming from. Like I get where Bruce is coming from definitely. But I also can see where Emily is like, okay, but you like know the mentality kind of.
Hmm.
Is it does she have like a basis of her argument, or is she just kind of being like, is she just arguing to argue, you think?
I think a little of both because yes, Bruce was able to mentally prepare in ways that the others weren't just because he was there. He got to experience like the first 12 hours of it, which are big. You know, that's a big adjustment that he's already like mentally gone through a little bit and prepared for. And I think he does have some skills coming into it, I guess, that we'll see in a few minutes after that. But I also feel like that is just her personality, and she's gonna be confrontational and aggressive, as she's said herself. She's an
Mm-hmm.
aggressive
Mm-hmm.
person. I just don't think that was the right move in front of everyone within the first few minutes of being there to
Yeah.
attack him like that and to just keep going. Let Bruce just let him be, please.
Especially when like that's your first impression. I mean, obviously, like you can make impressions of people preseason, like at Ponderosa before the game starts, right? Like you kind of have a little bit of like assumptions of what these who these people are and what they're about, but your first like actual like in the game has started. Your first impression to everybody is that you're calling Bruce out.
And not in a
Bruce,
funny way.
no, he lasted 12 hours last season because he got a concussion. Like let the man
And she
let the man live.
she wasn't confronting him and bringing that up as like a haha, not no, you did have experience, like I don't know, she just felt very serious about it. It was like, no, you did have it, you do have an advantage against us,
It felt
acknowledge it.
very like college classroom. Like I'd like to push back a little bit against what he just said. Um, kind of just breaking down the like psychological, and I'm like, girl, leave him be,
Yes.
leave that man be. Um, yeah, it felt weird, but we get to they introduce the tribes, Lulu, Bello, and Reba.
Reba, who
A
whose choice
single
was that?
mom who worked two jobs, loved her kids, and never stopped.
They're really working on that Gen Z audience with that
They really
one.
are. That was crazy, and the fact that it's the Red Tribe too. I'm like, there, there has to be some sort of like hot. I'm like, Reba is like Reba, country music icon, like, and now new coach on The Voice. Maybe we should change this to The Voice podcast.
Yes.
Um, how do you strange names? That's just it. That's the tribe names.
Yeah, Lulu. There, I feel like I never remember tribe names that well. They're just not something that I usually care about. But these ones felt particularly funny. Um,
They end up just
in
being the red tribe, the yellow tribe, and the blue tribe
That's
anyway.
exactly how I've been referring to this. What was the blue one again? That's the only one I don't remember.
Bello,
Bello.
I think. Bello.
Oh. Boring.
Boring. um, yeah, and then they do their first challenge, which Lulu Okay, let's talk about Brandon, shall we?
Yes.
Um, I follow a bunch of survivors on Twitter. And what I have seen a lot of from last night and this morning is a lot of Brandon defenders. I didn't know this. If you didn't watch the draft episode, Maddie and I have went into this season blind, basically. Neither of us watched, or I guess neither of us, we didn't watch any like preseason stuff. We read the Entertainment Weekly interviews, but that was all we had. Like, we didn't know what these people sound. We'll get to that because some of these people did not sound like how I thought they were gonna sound. Jake and we didn't know how they sound. We didn't really know anything about.
We didn't know
them
how to
unless
pronounce their names.
yeah.
Oops.
Unless they put it in their interviews. So I guess Brandon is sort of has history within the Survivor community. From what I was able to gather, like multiple Survivor alum are familiar and are actually like friends with him. I think he's been in the Survivor community for a long time. He's like a very long-term Survivor fan.
Wow. I had no
It's
idea.
And so when I went on Twitter, I was kind of okay. Obviously, I'm not expecting like Brandon to be dragged on Twitter, but a lot of the survivors were saying like, y'all are making fun of Brandon. Imagine like you guys could do any better out there. And I'm like, this is crazy.
Maybe I could.
You're telling me all I have to do is climb up a ladder? Like, I don't know.
And
like,
confront some crying people? Or not confront, comfort.
like they were defending him real bad, and I was like, okay, if that's your friend, I get it, but I'm like, you can't act like it wasn't a bad performance. Like, they were like, you guys wouldn't be able to do any better, and I'm like,
Everyone else did.
I was like, exactly, like, I don't know if this is really the hill y'all want to die on.
Yeah. Watching Brandon try and get up that ladder was crazy. My question was, does he have zero upper arm strength? Because like he
Yeah.
couldn't even hold on to it. Obviously I'm not in that situation or anything,
Mhm.
but watching the other people do it, it didn't seem that hard. I mean, I like Sean kind of just flew up it with no problems, and the other people that it showed as well. So I don't know. And then I know I think he said he had a panic attack on the
Yeah.
boat, but watching him kind of crawl from the edge of the boat to the mat was interesting. It just felt I'm that would be really hard to be going through that in that moment when it's already
Yeah.
like crazy intense. But as a viewer, it was interesting to watch.
I yeah. I feel that giving him the benefit of the doubt, like he was in a weird position climbing up the ladder. Like some people were pointing this out on Twitter. They were like he was climbing up from under the water, so like he had to like lift where like Sean was stepping off of the boat and sort of climbing up. So he had a little bit of the thing, but Brandon like was in the water and trying to get out of the water, which I could see maybe with it being so like loose, like I don't know, trying to give him some benefit of the doubt. I just think it was like a terrible challenge performance. And again, like I'm a big boy, like I understand the struggle. I'm not saying that I don't know if I could do any better. I've never been in this situation where I'm having to climb up the side of a boat on a like a little ladder like that. So I'm not gonna sit here and say like he could have done better, but I'm just like we have to call a spade a spade. It was not a good performance, and all of these little survivors on Twitter being like, "This is my bestie," blah blah blah. I'm like, you have to kind of call it out how it is, and it was not a good challenge performance. It was very hard to watch. It blew like a huge lead that Lulu had. Um,
Yes.
but I'm glad he didn't have to get removed from the game. Like that would have been sucky.
Yeah. Again,
Uh,
like in one of the
I
first
know.
moments
Like
of the game, I'm glad we didn't have a medevac.
yeah. Um, but that was interesting. Reba ends up winning the challenge and getting supplies, which is fine, I guess. I feel like Reba is kind of pulling out a little bit. I mean,
I think it's hard to tell because we didn't really see hardly anything from
yeah,
either of the other tribes. The episode
yeah,
just
it
was
was
so
so Lulu
focused on
focused.
Lulu.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like they feel pretty equal to me.
yeah.
I I think it's hard to tell in the beginning episode who really has the strength behind them, but
Mhm.
it's definitely not Lulu.
Leave Lulu alone. I'm sure like in an episode or two we'll be able to really like see which tribes. Usually one of the three kind of pulls out a little bit, so I'm sure we'll see that soon. What I think was most interesting was the the shift in the sweat and savvy challenge.
Yes.
So like traditionally, sweat versus savvy is like uh the two people do the sweat challenge versus the whole tribe does the savvy challenge. Um, but now they had to like pick two people pre sweat versus savvy to do it. And then there was no choice. They had to do both of them.
And isn't it normally on their beach in
Yeah, it's
front of
normally on their
everyone?
beach. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's in front of everybody because I think some of the problems in the past is that people haven't been able to watch people who are doing the sweat challenge, which is a little concerning. But it is close to them, I'm pretty sure.
Hmm.
And so 45 did the weird shift where now only two people are doing it and they're doing both sweat and savvy. Um, how are we feeling about this little change?
I didn't love it. I mean I don't mind that they're mixing things up a little bit, but it seems tough to have to do the sweat and have like trying to keep in mind how much time you have left to do the savvy part, especially when
Yeah.
you're mentally exhausted like that.
Yeah.
And I think I also with that and this being I think they said the first time that they haven't gotten the reward out of it, it puts such a target on their backs to come back
Mhm.
empty-handed just as like Emily, which I understand why she was so concerned about thinking that they're lying that they didn't get anything because it doesn't seem true watching the past couple seasons. Yeah, I feel bad. I really wouldn't have wanted to do that savvy part after the sweat. It seemed a bit much.
It didn't seem very balanced. I feel like where I could see what they were trying to do, obviously. In the past, every tribe always winning it is kind of like it kind of defeats the purpose of having a challenge if every time it's going to be like beaten.
Hmm.
But I think this was on the other side of the spectrum. Like I think it was too easy the other one, and this is way too hard. I think that like the the idea of the sweat challenge in the past has been that you can kind of like take breaks a little bit. I think they're still timed in when to complete it, but like you have it. I just feel like a much longer, more than an hour to do it, um, and I feel like not. I don't know. I don't. I think they didn't give them enough time to do everything. Having the savvy challenge after the sweat seemed like a weird order because you're gonna be exhausted after the sweat challenge. Your brain is just gonna be mush, and you're not gonna be able to like do anything.
I
And it's
think.
unfortunate.
Oh, you
Yeah.
can keep going.
No, you could go.
I also think that I wish instead of it being the weird thing that they also just looking at it, it's like, what do I do with this? Before,
Hmm.
hasn't it been like a math problem or things that are more at the face of it easy to kind of piece together how to do it? Or,
Yeah, I think traditionally in the past it's been like math riddles, like
yeah,
see how many triangles are in this like shape or
I think that's a
count how
lot.
many circles or something.
Yeah, I think something like that might be a lot easier to digest after you've done such a like intense challenge with all the logs. I don't know, I just think seeing the rings or whatever it was at the very end of that and knowing that you didn't have hardly any time to look at it, it's like, why am I even going to try? I mean, they really touched it for a few seconds and we're like, that's it. We didn't do it.
It's just yeah, and then you don't come back, and you were right. Like you don't come back with anything, and now you have like a huge target on your back,
And you're exhausted.
and you're exhausted, and then you have to build a shelter with no machete, and you
Yeah.
can't have any food because you don't have any rice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so neither tribes do that. We start meeting the tribes a little bit, learning more about people. Was there anybody? Do you have any notes from anybody that sort of stood out to you, or
Yes.
little scenes that you liked?
I wanted to touch on Bruce again because
Hmm.
he just went from saying, I have no advantage from being here for 12 hours. I got injured. I wasn't here that long, to bossing everyone around at camp a little and saying, don't call me the dad character, which is fine, but then totally dadding everyone and giving everyone unsolicited advice.
Yeah.
And I think he needs to let people to an extent have the space to figure things out for themselves. Obviously, if they're really deep into something and they're doing it wrong, be like, hey, maybe we do it this way. But I wouldn't go in there and say, do things this way. This is how that works. Don't even
Hmm.
bother with the palm fronds. Like, I just think it was a little much and contradictory of what he had just said on the boat.
It kind of takes away from the experience too. Like, there's something a little fun in messing up a little bit because you're like, this is like the experience. Obviously, I know in the past, like, well, not even in the. I'm trying to think. They've done like a fans versus favorite and blood versus water. Um. Oh, I guess they have like coaches seasons. I'm trying to think of seasons where there are tribes like first tribes that are mixed newbies and like returning players. It happens a couple times. Um, but Bruce isn't really a returning player. Like
No.
in my opinion, I think what he said was right on the boat. Like he doesn't really have any experience. Um, and so why are you boasting about what you do and don't know? I guess um at the camp because then I think it's just naturally like he's just like a dad at the end of the day. Like I don't think it's him talking from experience on Survivor, which he doesn't have. I think it's him talking just like him being a dad and feeling like he might just know what's best for like camp life, which is
Yeah.
fine, like you said. But then don't shut people down and be like, don't call me a dad because I'm gonna be your fun uncle, but you're not being fun uncle Bruce. You're being very dad Bruce right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then he said something strange. The first thing that goes into this sort of like this scene, where he says, um, w- "Nothing is a bigger waste of time than weaving palm fronds."
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yeah, I was like,
I
I
haven't
don't
heard
know if
that.
that's true. I've never heard that either, and I feel like I've actually heard like from like Lauren from Survivor 39, like she said like that's one of the things that they sort of like teach you prior to going out to Survivor. Like this is a skill that you guys need to have when like building your shelter.
I was wondering
And
why everyone knows how to do it.
I think that's something that Survivor like is like you guys should know how to do this. So it's weird. I don't know if that's true necessarily. Again, we've never been on Survivor and we don't know anybody who's been on Survivor. So, well, I have met Sandra Diaz Twine, but anyway, I don't think that that's necessarily true. So that was a weird little thing to say, but other people, Julie's lying about her job.
I
Which
love. I have a. What did she say? Something about crafting out of her house.
Yeah,
Craft
she's like
business.
no, she's an art teacher that
Art teacher.
does it from her house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, Katura, when she was like, when I think Jake was talking about being a lawyer and she was
Yep.
playing like, what is that? I loved that. I thought it was
what
so
did she
funny.
say? I think I got her quote. She said something like, "Oh, where is it?" She said something like, "Oh, he's just like, oh, Jake is a baby lawyer, just past the bar. He's excited about being a lawyer still." And she basically just like played his ass. She was
I
just like,
loved
"Oh,
it.
yeah." It was so silly. There's a lot of lawyers this season, at least 3, which I feel like is a good little
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
saying, like we were saying before, half the people are 26 and a third of them are lawyers.
Lawyers.
Yeah.
I think what else? Drew. I think Drew got one little confessional, but I was like, okay, you're seeming much more approachable in this little confessional than you did from your interview.
Yeah, I'm glad I have Drew on my tribe or on my draft team.
You're so welcome. That wouldn't have happened without me.
Yeah, thank you for that. Also, how tall is he? I couldn't find it online, but
He's a tall boy.
towering over
He's
the
a
other
tall
people.
boy. That's a little frightening. A little scary, but hopefully he'll be okay. I don't know. Hopefully he won't get like decapitated out there. I don't think so. I feel like we would have heard about it.
Probably. Oh my god.
I don't know. Things falling from a tree all the time. What else? Oh, Kendra. Kendra's a little astrology girly.
All the September birthdays, girls.
All the September birthdays. So strange. Do you know anything about astrology?
I'm a Pisces.
Is that all you know?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm a Capricorn. That's all I know.
Maybe we'll have to have Kendra on and she can
Explain
do
what
our
that means.
readings.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Kendra. Reach out to the pod. Oh, I think that was sort of it for like getting to know people. Did anybody else stand out to you?
No, not really. What's the nurse? Kelly? Is that her name?
Really?
Speaking
Yes.
of people's voices that sound different, I did not expect her to sound like that for some reason. It just caught me off guard. She seemed a lot more chill than I was expecting. I liked her.
Drafted Kelly, and I think we both had a similar thing of like we feel like she's going to be the person that doesn't get any screen time. But I feel like we're getting a good little like arc from her. Especially in the 3 of her, Kelly, and Katora, where I feel like Kendra and Katura, sorry. I feel like Kendra is sort of seeming like the odd one out in that trio. Especially with her talking about wanting to get rid of Jake because he's a lawyer to Katura, who is a lawyer.
Yeah, that was funny.
So I feel like maybe Kelly and Katura can have something working. But I liked Kelly. I said this earlier, we're talking about voices. Jake, I was not expecting him to be fresh out of Boston, fresh out of the bar, or fresh out of Boston. I was like, this is crazy.
I know. I was like, I want to hear more from him. It's such a thick accent. I was not at all expecting that.
He started talking, I was like, this is crazy.
Speaking of, I don't think Sabaya really has an accent.
I don't think she does either.
Which was part of my excitement about her, but it's okay. I really, really liked her. And Caleb.
I loved them.
I'm
They were
so happy
fun.
about them. Yes.
I think they have. We'll talk about this a little later, but I like their little duo alleged. I don't know.
Yeah, we can talk.
We'll talk about it. Um, but I think that's really it. Yeah. So then after they do that, we talked about it. But Savvy versus Sweat versus Sabby happens. Um, okay. I didn't. So how do you feel about the tribe responses? I guess it's really just Emily's response, but the tribe responses from nobody getting anything, right? Because I guess traditionally in the past, usually at least one tribe gets something, or like historically in the past, both tribes have gotten things from Sweat versus Savvy. So it's real strange that they're coming back and be like, we don't have anything. Um, I guess Emily was the big response from that, but how do you feel?
I understand where she's coming from. Again, I think it's a little aggressive and it's rubbing everyone the wrong way. And I think it's kind of getting in the way of other people being suspicious about it. Um, I think it puts the two people that went to do it in such a tough spot.
Yeah.
And I don't envy them because they are telling the truth. And I think I would have a hard time knowing how to make these people believe the actual truth. Like they're not lying to them, but you don't know these people. They don't trust. Why would they trust you? They have nothing to go
Mhm.
off of. And which I know is part of it and just part of the game. But I understand where Emily's coming from. And because she says that when they were deciding who was going to go to that they are the ones that volunteered and no one else
Mhm.
did. But I think they're there to play the game. Like someone's got to do it. And obviously it
I
wasn't going to be Brandon or Sean. Sean just did the swimming part, you know?
Yeah. I think it's interesting. I think in this like new era, Survivor is doing more, like Survivor in the sense of like the production is doing more sort of little tricky things that I think put players in bad spots intentionally, which I don't know how I feel about that. I can't think of like concrete examples per se, but I know this is something that we have seen recently where it's like players have to come back from a thing and lie. Well, not lie, like it tells the truth, but like it seems like it's a lie in the sense of like how the game has traditionally been going in this new era. I think there's something they say where it's like you should never get comfortable, expect the unexpected. You know, that's Survivor's famous catchphrase. No
Hmm.
other TV show, and they should not like expect it to be the same every single season. But I think that it is a little shady for like Caleb and Sabia to be put into a position where they have to seem like they're lying when they're not,
I
when they're telling the
agree.
truth. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't seem.
It
I
doesn't
don't know.
I don't like the role that plays in the game.
Yeah.
And I think right out the gate it's really tough to put people in that position and then expect them to pull themselves out of it because
Yeah.
they haven't even gone to the camp yet. They haven't talked to these people yet. They don't know them. And I don't like the position that put them in.
It's like.
I think it's one of those examples of I know this isn't necessarily an advantage, but just the producers playing too big of a role in
Mhm.
what's going on between in the tribe dynamics.
No, I think you're right, and it like they come back from the Sweat versus Savvy, and now everybody thinks this is their first real interaction with the tribe. Everybody thinks that the first thing they're saying is a lie. That is not. That puts you at such an unfair start. And then Emily's gonna think that these two are working together, and are, I don't know, they're conspiring against her.
Yeah, we can get into that now.
Yeah.
I really don't like her mentality about this again because to be honest, though, I can't speak for Sean because even though the most of the episodes seem to be focused on the Lulu tribe, I don't feel like we heard enough from Sean at all,
Mm-hmm.
or his what is going on with the relationships that he has with the other people in the tribe. But those are the only two people on that tribe having fun and
Yeah.
playing the game and aren't crying constantly or trying to cause problems with other people. They're
Mm-hmm.
connecting because what else are they supposed to do out there? Sit by themselves? Talk to
They're gonna
Emily?
sit with. They're gonna sit next to Brandon, who's bringing the vibe down in the camp. They're gonna sit next to Hannah, who doesn't want to be there. They're gonna sit next to Emily, who is shitting on the whole experience.
Exactly. Like, Emily, if you're so upset about it, join them. If you want
Yeah.
people to connect with, no one's talking to you. Yeah, you are shut out right now because you're doing it to yourself with how you're talking to people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
join them.
It's such a strange mentality to think these two people, okay, they technically they volunteered themselves, right? But they they were away from the camp, and I guess but Brandon does come back before they come back. So right, it's 4 against 2, and we've seen this other times in the past where the 4 people at camp are convinced that the 2 people that do this challenge at the beginning are going to be working together. I'm like, you got. I'm not a math major, but 4 is more than 2. Even if they're working together, then just
It doesn't do anything for them.
then like get them out. But the odds are they're not working together, and like they had an hour to complete a challenge. Like let's like if they're not lying, right? Let's just imagine in a world where they're not lying because they weren't lying. That they had to how much talking and alliance building could they do in this hour where they're
None.
moving 40 heavy logs and then they have to complete this challenge, and now they feel terrible because they didn't win anything for their tribe, and they already have this like thought in their head that they're going to come back with nothing, and people are going to think they're lying, or people are going to think they didn't do anything, right? Like they're already probably stressing out about that, and now you're assuming they're working together and they're gonna lead the charge against you.
And I bet because a lot of the conversations that we heard before they got there while they were at the challenge was, oh, well, we're collecting this stuff, but we can't do anything till we have a machete. How do you think they felt coming back to camp not bringing the machete that they were all expecting them to bring? That puts them in such a bad position. And yeah, it's 4 people against 2. Keep it in the back of your head. Hey, these 2 people might have a relationship, but we have the numbers. We can do whatever we want. And if
And so don't feel so threatened by them, because that I
no,
feel like that was where Emily was coming from. She felt threatened that they were going to be able to do something against her, but I'm like, in reality, they're not. Is she probably knows that she was not well loved around. Sorry, I dropped something. She probably knows they were not well loved around the camp. So like, I can understand where her concern is coming from, but like realistically, if she was doing what she probably should have been doing for her game from minute one, then she wouldn't have to be worrying about how these 2 people who came late into the game, how they're going to affect her chances in standing in the tribe. Because really, they kind of had it set up good. Like a good 4-person voting block could have worked really well.
I think a big part of it might be that she saw that her personality doesn't seem like it can just kind of go with the flow at all, and it's very obvious that she does not like Hannah and Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she doesn't see a world in which she can work with them, maybe. So she feels threatened that, oh, the 2 people on this tribe that feel competent to be here are maybe an alliance and gonna pair up. And I'm not a part of that. And she just like didn't want to even try to form an alliance with the other people. But instead, she's just making herself like a victim or
A
like
victim, no,
of
a little bit.
herself.
Yeah, and then she kind of putting her in that victim space, but then also like, um, no, you're like, yeah, it just didn't look good. And then she just dug herself a hole. I'm like, okay, so if you know inherently you're public enemy number one, and people are gonna try to vote you out, why are you trying? Like, she rocked the boat too much for the position she was in. I could understand wanting to save herself, but I feel like the best possible position for her would have been to push to get Brandon or Hannah out instead of trying to get everybody to rally against Caleb and Sabia, because
Which I
that
don't think anyone else wanted to vote. That they
no.
have no reason to. No one else is feeling threatened by that. It doesn't feel like.
Also, like if because Emily cared like is so much about the past, like how the game has been played the past couple seasons. We have historically seen in the past 4 seasons how physically demanding the the tribal portion of the game is in challenge wise, right? You want to get rid of Caleb, who is arguably your the best physical person on your tribe.
She even
Vote one.
she makes a comment about that too.
Yes, yeah.
She makes a comment about how we wouldn't even have gotten through half of that challenge without Caleb. But like
It's
no
far too,
but
like I get it's a fast-paced game and it's only 26 29 days, like things are moving. It is too early. I'm sorry. I can understand maybe a vote or two if it's really getting down to it and you're like it's between me and Caleb, maybe getting rid of him as you're inching closer to the merge. But it is far unless you're going to go day after day after day to that tribal council. I would not want to get rid of Caleb at this point. That's crazy to me.
yeah, I agree.
Well, we haven't really talked a little bit about Emily, a little bit about Svi and Caleb. We have not really talked about Hannah and Brandon in camp life.
Oh boy.
This is insane. I have okay, so I was Hannah and Brandon sitting on the log and like being like, I don't want to do anything. I wrote, nobody wants to work these days. Nobody wants to get up off their asses and work.
No, you're right. They want to eat and lay on a comfy bed is what they want.
Well, I think Hannah specifically.
That's what Hannah wants.
Just like doesn't want to feel like he's dying.
But because he has acid reflux.
A little bit of GERD never hurt anybody.
Yeah. Tell it to Brandon.
Tell it to Brandon. Let's go, Brandon!
You're done. So this is actually the end of the Making Fire podcast. We will not be continuing this relationship.
I feel like that is crazy. Okay. I can respect like knowing you can only do so much without a machete, but the fact that they were just like we can't do anything.
We gotta sweep.
We got how many take a shot every time there's a clip of Hannah sweeping the camp. How
and she's tired, guys.
How often do you need to sweep the dirt? I'm so sorry. Like, if anything, I feel like having leaves on the ground is probably better. Like, I'm sure those are softer to walk on than, like, the dirt.
Yeah, I don't know.
Crazy. Hannah is going through nicotine withdrawals. She has a light bulb moment. She looks at Brandon and she says, "Oh, I know what it is. It must be the nicotine withdrawal."
I cannot believe that she went on to this show still recovering from a nicotine addiction. This is not I don't think this is the place to get over that.
A little server historian. There's been two, I'm pretty sure off the top of my head, two other famous examples of people who are going through withdrawals on Survivor. Shane from Panama, who ends up making it to like the final, I don't know, 6 or 5. Like he makes it pretty far. He's a pretty iconic character in the early seasons. And then Zane from Survivor Philippines, who is also the first boot. He goes through withdrawals as well. But I agree. I don't think Survivor is the place to be doing that, and I 100% bet that was not her intention. Like I doubt that she was this I doubt that this was the timeline for her. But it's like crazy. We'll get to the quitting later. but it's weird that she sort of I guess she fell through the cracks. Like, I'm sure there had to be some sort of health screening at multiple points of this process, and it's weird
Absolutely.
that she kind of just, I mean, I guess all you have to do is lie.
Yeah,
Like,
what are they gonna do?
I mean, what are they gonna do? Look at, like, I don't, but anyway, yeah, they're Hendon and Brandon's presence in camp is very interesting. Um, yeah, I don't, do you, anything else you want to say on that?
I don't
Nobody
know.
wants to work
I
these
I thought
days.
it was kind of funny how Brandon felt so good about himself for comforting her, and he's like, "No,
Hmm.
that's what I've been doing. I'm playing a role in this tribe right now, and it's comforting that crying woman over
That
there
crying woman who's gonna quit.
who's gonna so
Who's gonna quit? So really, I didn't do anything.
I'm about to lose
Really,
my
your
job."
job is the absence of a job. You did nothing. Because it didn't matter. She said, I don't care what you say. I'm still leaving.
Yeah, I don't know. He just kept talking about wanting to lay down, and just
Okay, but me too.
I get it, but not the place. And don't be saying that like on camera. That makes you look so bad. Like you can think it, but don't say it.
Think it. Don't speak it.
Exactly.
Period. Um. What is? Okay. Uh. Okay, I wrote Emily Hate Train. They just don't get her like I do. She's so real. The parents are so stupid. That happened after. I brought that up earlier, but that was next to my notes of like chronological.
Hmm.
I think next we sort of look over to the Reba tribe a little bit, and we see Sifu, who is plotting. I wrote that he is just so silly.
Hiding in
He's just hiding.
the clips of them walking by, and he's like all tucked away in the behind the tree. And when they catch him, and he's like, "Oh, ha ha ha! I was just spying on you guys," and then he looks at the camera like, "Oops, they got me."
He's just silly. He just wants to like do a little bit of exploring. Like I don't think
Yeah.
it's that bad of. I don't think it's that.
He was
Like,
actually just playing a game of hide and seek. He forgot to mention it.
he forgot to ask if anybody else wanted to play.
Yeah, he just took it upon himself to hide first.
He was waiting for someone to seek, and that is not like why is that an issue?
It's not his fault.
It is not that nobody else in that tribe understands the rules of hide and seek, which are very simple.
You hide. He was hiding. They
You seek.
you seek.
That literally is the name of the game, and the fact that they couldn't do one simple task, I think it says a lot about today's society.
I agree.
They're all just on their phones too damn much.
You're right. You're right.
I think it was silly. Like, I think maybe some sort of target might be put on him, but I don't know. I'm getting kind of like Nasir energy. Like, I think he's kind of just there for like a good time. You know what I mean?
You're so right about the connection to Nasir. I
Like,
I totally see it.
he's gonna play the game, but like Nasir was there for a good time.
And so
What
is
is it? Ghost on
Sifu.
AstroTurf. That was his little thing.
Yes.
Um, yeah. Oh my God, Nasir. I forgot. Survivor 41 was a little bit ago. I was thinking about that the other day, like flashbacks of watching that live in the house.
Oh my gosh.
Gag.
So
Do a lore,
fun.
we need to do a lore drop episode. That'd be crazy. Um, so
And we need to have
just-
Anna on.
we do. So a friend of the pod, Anna.
Friend of the pod,
Anna
Anna.
Banana. So we have Austin, who finds the first Beware advantage of this season.
Yes. I was going to ask you, if you were in Austin's position and you found a Beware advantage, would you open it? I have a very obvious answer. Okay, I'll answer first. I would open it.
Yeah.
I think having that just out in the open. Wait, is it possible to like hide it so no one finds it? So you don't open it, but no one else finds it either?
No, I think
Oh.
if you don't open it, you have to put it back where you found it.
Oh, okay. That changes it. I would still open it.
I think it's really contextual. I think it depends on, like, if my tribe just lost tribal council or tribal council. Oh my god, if my tribe just lost the challenge, the immunity challenge, then I would not. I would come back after tribal and then open it. Like, especially this early vote. There's only 6 people on your tribe. I don't know if I'd be willing to risk it. But the Reba tribe, the red tribe, I think proved themselves in the first challenge, and then obviously they ended up proving themselves in the second challenge. So like his tribe seems to be in an okay position that if I was in Austin's shoes, then maybe I would go for it, especially since it's so early on too. Like
Mm-hmm.
his tribe isn't going to tribal for the first two. So I don't know. He has like 4 days probably until he could probably be back at tribal. 3 days. I don't know the math. Maybe two. Maybe one. Maybe
Maybe they're at tribal right after.
Maybe they're in trouble right now. He I could see. I think if I was in his position, yes. He has enough time, I think, to build up some strong relationships that could protect him in in a potential first tribal. So I think he'll be okay.
Okay.
I would take it maybe if I was in his position. I'm interested to see how many tasks there are, though. They said that so he has to decode the message, but it looks like there's a lot of text on the flag. I don't know how long that's gonna take him.
I'm excited to see that.
I'm excited too. I like that they're getting okay. I'm not a big Advantage fan. Beware Advantage is like, but I like how it's different every season.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the 43 the beads that they had to collect.
Oh, that was fun.
That was a fun challenge. I like doing different things. I think it's cool. I'm excited to see how this one plays out. I'm excited who else finds one or see how that ends up happening. But Austin, technically, it's not in his hands just yet. But he's in the line to get the first real advantage of the season, which is exciting. Let's see. So okay. Now we're going into the first challenge, the first immunity challenge. I'm gonna be honest, podcast watchers. I don't love challenges. I usually will do other things during it, but I have to highlight one of the craziest moments. I don't like in a challenge ever is Brandon falling off of the wall, hitting the ground limp. He fully did not move for like 10 seconds. He was just laying there.
He was waiting for Jeff to call medic. Is what I felt.
And then Jeff goes, "Come on, Brandon, pick it up."
I know. Okay.
This is crazy.
I also, the challenge, it was a lot. And
it was.
I felt bad for the Lulu losers in that because it was very physical and it just also, why were so many of the people, it felt like mostly from the Lulu tribe, going down the slide part head first into the mud? Like,
so strange.
Go down feet first? Have you never been told the rules of a playground? Don't go down the slide head first? Why would you think that's a good idea?
First, they don't know the rules of hide and seek. Now they don't know how to go down the slide. Yeah. I feel like we're missing the fundamentals here. I don't know what to tell them.
But on the wall part that you're talking about as well, the mud looked. I would be scared. I think was it Bruce who like ninja warriored his way up it.
Yeah.
But there was a moment. I think it was Sabaya. Am I saying that right? By the way. I think it was
Sabaya. I think it is.
I've been
saying it wrong.
Yeah. I think it was Sabaya who slid down and kind of hit Emily in the face on her way down.
All like just falling off the wall.
No, I was like, oh my god, that would.
It wasn't a 90-degree wall. It was like kind of slanted, right?
Yeah, it had to have been. But oh my god,
maybe like an 85 or 80.
It looked hard.
It did look hard.
It did not look fun, and that would be really hard to get up, especially all slippery like that. Yeah. Pass.
Like that's why I'm like, okay, Brandon, you got me there because I don't know how I would I don't know how physically I would be able to. I would need like a running start, and then for someone to grab me,
I think,
and then I have to use like my bot. Like I don't even know if I'd be able to do that. That's crazy.
yeah, that was rough. Yeah, I think maybe if they had like thin dowels or something to help,
Mm.
that would make it a little easier. Just there was no traction, it looked like. So shout out to all the people for finishing that because ouch. Oh, but I will comment. I also have a question related to this. So I think it was the Lulu tribe that started using their buffs to
Hmm.
like pull them up. I've Has that happened before?
I don't think so. I think Jeff was even saying that he was like, I've never seen someone use their buffs like that before.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. I thought that was like really resourceful and a good idea, something to hold on to that isn't a slippery, muddy hand.
Mm.
Follow up question. So, if something happens to their buffs, like if it were to have ripped or something, would that be replaced? Like if it was not a buff anymore because something catastrophic
Mm,
happened to it?
maybe. I mean, like I know when they like switch tribes and merge, they get new buffs. So
But like in this
eventually,
first immunity challenge, let's say they rip them trying to go up, what would happen?
I'm assuming they would get
Tie
new
it?
ones. I don't think they would tie it because then it's still like it wouldn't do what it needs to do, you know?
I
Um,
don't know if that's happened before.
I was gonna ask a question of, I mean, on buffs, but I was like, is that even allowed? Like, are they allowed to use
I
like
know. I would love some clarification on this, Mr.
I,
Probst.
me too? Because I don't. I mean, it's never happened before, but
They
I
let it
mean, like,
happen.
I'm like, if I was wearing like a long sleeve shirt, what's stopping me from just taking my shirt off and throwing it up there and using it as like a rope?
Exactly. It felt a little cheatery to
Kind
me.
of. I
But
mean, like it's
also
not that
it's
big. Like they
but
still ended up
also
losing.
and no one told them not to.
Exactly. Like it's not like
So
Jeff stopped the challenge and was like,
exactly. I just
and I know they got lawyers along the line right there watching. Like I'm sure they would have, if it was not fair, they would have stopped it.
yeah.
But it's interesting because now it's like, okay, well, what's the extent? Like, can I just take my pants off and like
Please
use
don't.
the um just throw one of the legs up there and use the other leg and
Yeah.
just like I why can't I do that?
Yeah,
If we're
use it
using
as
clothing
a
items,
yeah, you're right. Use it as a rope like you can climb up like with your
yeah.
feet on. Yeah, I totally see what you're saying.
So it's just interesting to think about. Like I wonder what this sort of opens
That
now
might set
that
a weird precedent at this point.
maybe
So,
it also may just be one little thing that never gets referenced again and
or after they were like, "Hey, we saw that. Don't do it again." But they left
don't
it
do it
off
or
air.
else. Um, well, the blue and red tribe, Bello and Reba end up winning immunity. Bello gets uh their flint, so they're able to live, and our Lulu losers end up going into tribal, which is absolutely devastating and not expected at all.
No. I never would have guessed.
After Brendan, no, I
I was
lit on the
devastated.
ground. I didn't think Brendan was gonna get. I didn't think he was gonna get back up.
I didn't either.
I thought he like broke something. Like he was just like on the ground. Like he didn't move, and I was like, no, he died. No, he died.
Broke his spine.
In the arms of the angel,
Hit the high note.
fly away. From...
Okay, please don't quit this
Okay.
podcast to pursue a singing career.
um, so we get back to Lulu tribe, the Lulu losers, and the first thing we really hear is that Hannah wants to go home. She's telling Brandon that she really wants nicotine. She's really hungry. She really wants a bed. She doesn't want to take this opportunity away from somebody else, which I respect. But she's
Already
telling
did? She
okay.
already did, is my thought.
Okay, but it's also like what is she oh no, I saw a clip of her. She was being interviewed. Either a clip or maybe she tweeted something, or maybe it was, I don't know. But she was like, "Y'all should have stood out more." Oh no, it was definitely not her because I think it was a little Stan. They're like, "Y'all should have stood out more in your interviews if you wanted a spot on that tribe, if a spot on the cast so bad." They're like, "You should have done a little bit more." Um, I don't think it's necessarily Hannah, because Hannah, I, giving the benefit of the doubt, Hannah wanted the interview, the clips that I haven't watched a full exit interview yet. From the clips that I saw, she very much was like, I wanted to be on Survivor. She was like, it wasn't that I was cast not wanting to be on the show, or I was like an influencer that was picked up out of nowhere. She was like, I wanted to do it. She was just like, I didn't know how hard it was going to be.
I heard
So
that as well.
I don't think she necessarily, I don't think she, I would have been more upset if like Caleb got voted out or Emily got voted out and Hannah ended up leaving the game. Like she ended up just being like, I quit after tribal. That would have really sent me. But I can't be too mad. I'm like, if she just didn't know what to expect, which I don't think is her fault.
Yeah.
I think there could have been things that were prevented. Like obviously, like she should have mind over matter, been like, okay, I don't have a bed. I'm not gonna have a bed.
I'm
Okay,
not gonna
I'm not
have
gonna have
food.
food. I'm not gonna have my jewel. Like I just think that those are things that you should have expected to not like have and like sort of come to the terms before going on the show that those aren't going to be accessible to you. Um but anyway, before so she's telling Brandon, she's like, I don't know if I necessarily need to be voted out. And Brandon's like, okay, well, you can't leave. Basically Brandon's saying is you can't leave because I need you to stay in the game because you're my only ally. Which is not very like good person of you. I'm like, if this person wants to leave so bad and it's clearly like my health, my blah blah blah, I need to go home.
It almost felt like he's like, no, I'm supposed to be the one that's having a hard time out here, not you.
Which is crazy.
Like, you can be emotional, but I'm the one that should be going. Like, if anyone should want to quit, it should be me. It's kind of what it felt like to me.
No, that's what it felt like. He was like, I've been going through all of this, and you're just like, you just want a bed to sleep on. And she's like, I've been going through stuff too. Withdrawal is a real. If it's real, like she's been spoken a lot of nicotine. That can be crazy. Withdrawal is crazy. So she was actively going through it. I don't put it past her that her health was probably in a worse position than Brandon's. Like, I think Brandon was going through like a lot of mental health things, where
And acid reflux.
and
Don't forget about it.
he won't let me. I feel like Hannah was probably going through a lot more physically if the withdrawal symptoms were really bad. So I don't know. I feel like that. Yeah, I feel like that's a strange way to approach it and be like, if anybody should be wanting to go home, I should be wanting to go home, and I don't want to go home, so you shouldn't want to go home. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
If A plus B equals C, then what the hell is this? So yeah, Brandon doesn't want to let her go home. And then I wrote, now Brandon wants to go home? Question mark. His energy spreads. It's so annoying to watch. Like I can't imagine. Like imagine you're the four other people. You're Emily, Sean, Caleb, Sabia, and they're just sitting there, and like Brandon and Hannah are just like, we want to go home. That is so negative.
No. Yeah, and Emily being negative, they were all commenting, she's a glass half empty kind of person. Like, yeah, she is. It would be so hard to be on that tribe in that moment, especially in the beginning when you're adjusting yourself to this whole new experience. And like, I know I would probably be really sad those first couple nights too, just adjusting to, like Hannah said, not having a bed, not having food. But that's the game. At the end of the day, you signed up for it. No one's making you do this.
Yeah, nobody's making you. You knew at least in that aspect what you were getting yourself into. You should just sort of have that expectation.
Yeah. I also think, obviously, I can't fully relate to what Hannah's going through, just physically, but I understand why she did it at tribal council, and I respect that she didn't let someone else get voted out. But at the same time, like, you couldn't have gone through a couple more days, like, feel it out a little more.
I guess, but I would have rather. I think I would have been much more upset as a fan.
If she had stuck it out.
It's all the quitters that quit at that point of the game. Like people who quit post merge, they're like, I want to quit, and I'm like, why are you quitting?
Yeah.
You have voted out people that have wanted to be there.
That's true. Okay. Yeah. I don't
I
like.
would rather have her done it then than in a couple days. But I do see what you're saying. Like I also am like in the mindset. I'm like, you're telling me you can like 20. And you're not even there for a full month. I guess
No.
unless the month is February, but then it's like
And it's like you got that far. You're
you
there. You're
did.
in
Like you know how hard the
Fiji.
cast. You're literally it started like that is the hardest part. Honestly, is kind of over. Like
Yeah,
now you
just
just
do
kind of
it.
it's out of your hands. Like you just have everything else at that point was just like you pushing through auditions, having the perfect video, like being perfect in interviews, right? Like that is stuff you can control. Now, like the game has started, most of it is out of your hands. Like you kind of just have to play the game how it's going to be played and hope that you end up winning.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of it at that point is like mostly luck. Obviously, there's some strategy to it where your mental capacity comes into play, but like like the hard part's over. You just have to last now.
Yep. So,
This is coming from two people who have never played Survivor, so
1000%. But I do think it's something that needs to be acknowledged.
yeah. So yeah, they get to try. I mean, there's a little bit. Emily tries to flip the vote. It's not gonna happen. It's a crazy thought. We talked about this already. I just think it's crazy to want to get rid of Caleb. I just don't see how it makes sense at that point. But hey, to each their own, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what Emily's strategy is, especially going forward. Um,
Yeah, I think she kind of screwed herself.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was such a weird series of comments that she made, putting herself in that position. You could see the look on everyone else's faces like, what is this girl talking about?
Yeah.
We're just living life out here trying to enjoy it.
I also love during Tribal when Emily was like, there's kind of like a dysfunctional person on our tribe, and I feel like they need to be. And then Hannah thought that Emily was talking about her, but then Emily was like, actually, I was talking about Brandon.
I know.
Like, that's crazy. You know, it's bad when you have multiple people that fit under that category
And they
on a
think,
6-person tribe.
yeah, yeah.
That's crazy.
I also wanted to make one more comment about the quitting thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. This was just such an example of how Jeff has changed over the years.
Mm,
Because I feel like he didn't say anything. He's like, you really
mm,
want to do this? Okay. Done. Like, letting everyone vote like that. I don't know. I just feel like in past years, he would have been a little more mouthy.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. Been a little bit more like, you just have to leave. You don't even get a little.
He felt pretty quiet this episode.
Jeff?
Yeah.
He was a
Now that
little
I'm
quiet,
thinking
I feel
about it,
like.
I don't think I heard a lot from
It
him.
gives him more room to talk on his podcast.
Stop. I have not listened.
I haven't either, so.
Not this episode. I
Um,
have listened to once in the past, but now I have my own. I don't need Jeff's podcast.
Jeff, we hate you. JK Jeff.
This is a
LOL.
message to Jeff Probst.
This is a message to Jeff Probst. Jeff's Probst. But that's it, yeah. Cool. Well, that's it. Do you have anything else?
I don't. I think that's everything. What an episode.
Truly.
If I did see with someone comment, if I were Sabaya and Caleb, I would be asking to speak to the manager about who put them on that tribe.
No,
I would be upset.
The production team they did it. It's dirty. It's dirty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if you enjoyed this episode of the Making Fire podcast, feel free to subscribe for more episodes. Next week we will deep dive into episode 2 of Survivor 45. If you are interested, we have other social media platforms: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter at Making Fire Pod. And you can follow us there for updates and our thoughts on other things.
Yes, this was so much fun this week, and I can't wait to see how this all plays out.
I can't wait to see how this turns out.
Is that how you're going to end every episode?
Maybe. Maybe I'll brand it. RuPaul, please don't come for me.
I was going to say, that's not really someone I want to mess with.
She messes with fracking.
Oh.
Bye, everybody.
See you next week.